What if the secret to a life of strength, purpose, and true success lies not in avoiding challenges, but in embracing them? Welcome to ZenLight 8, where we dive deep into the timeless wisdom of Stoicism to uncover how bravery shapes destiny. In today's video, we're exploring Fortune Favors the Brave, inspired by Marcus Aurelius, to reveal why courage isn't just for heroes. It's for anyone ready to step into discomfort, conquer fear, and forge a life that fortune can't ignore. Let's begin. In the quiet moments before dawn, when the world is still and the weight of possibility hangs in the air, there's a truth that whispers to those willing to listen. Fortune favors the brave. It's a phrase that echoes through time, often tied to the clash of swords and the roar of ancient battlefields. But its meaning stretches far beyond the dust of Roman conquests. At its core, it's not about war or glory. It's about the courage to face the unknown, to step into the storm of uncertainty, and to choose action when every instinct screams for retreat. On this journey with ZenLight 8, we're diving into the heart of Stoic philosophy, inspired by Marcus Aurelius, to uncover what bravery really means in a world that tempts us to play it safe. It's not about wielding a blade. It's about showing up when it's easier to hide, speaking truth when silence feels safer, and holding fast to who you are when life tries to tear you apart. Imagine standing at the edge of a decision. Maybe it's quitting a job that drains your soul, confessing a truth that could change everything, or starting a project that feels bigger than you. Your heart races, your palms sweat, and a voice in your head whispers, "What if you fail? What if it's too hard?" That moment right there is where bravery is born. The Stoics, those quiet giants of wisdom, understood this. They didn't see courage as a loud, heroic act reserved for the chosen few. To them, it was a daily practice, a choice made in the shadows of doubt. Bravery meant walking into discomfort, not because you're fearless, but because you refuse to let fear write your story. It's the single mother who works 2 jobs and still finds time to read to her kids at night, knowing their dreams are worth her exhaustion. It's the entrepreneur who launches a business in a garage, betting on a vision no one else can see. It's the student who raises their hand in a room full of strangers, daring to ask a question despite the risk of looking foolish. These aren't tales of epic battles. They're the real, raw moments of courage that shape lives. The phrase "fortune favors the brave" isn't a promise of victory. It's an invitation to act. Fortune doesn't roll out a red carpet for those who wait for perfect conditions. It doesn't knock on the door of the hesitant, offering guarantees. It gravitates toward those who move forward, who lean into the chaos of life with eyes wide open and hearts set ablaze. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, lived this truth. As an emperor, he faced plagues, betrayals, and wars. Yet he didn't retreat into despair or indulgence. He rose each morning, pen in hand, reflecting on how to be better, not for applause, but for himself. His courage wasn't in conquering lands. It was in conquering his own doubts, in choosing to lead with clarity when the world around him crumbled. That's the kind of bravery that fortune respects, not the reckless charge of a fool, but the steady resolve of someone who knows the cost of action and chooses it anyway. Let's bring this closer to home. Think of someone like J.K. Rowling, who wrote Harry Potter while scraping by as a single parent, rejected by publisher after publisher. Each no could have stopped her, but she kept writing, kept believing, kept stepping into the uncertainty of her dream. That's bravery, not because she knew she'd succeed, but because she acted despite the odds. Or consider the everyday heroes we pass on the street. The firefighter who runs into a burning building, not because they're immune to fear, but because they've trained their heart to value duty over safety. These stories remind us that courage isn't a rare gift. It's a muscle we all have, waiting to be strengthened. Every time you choose to act, to speak, to try, you're telling fortune, "I'm here, I'm ready." And fortune, in its quiet way, takes notice. But why does bravery matter so much? Because life doesn't reward the timid. It's not cruel, but it's honest. Opportunities don't wait for you to feel ready. Love doesn't pause until you're certain. Dreams don't bloom in the safety of someday. The Stoics saw this clearly. To live fully, you must embrace the discomfort of now. Bravery isn't about being louder than the crowd. It's about being true to yourself when the crowd is silent. It's the courage to say, "I love you" first, knowing it might not be returned. It's the resolve to start a blog, a business, or a conversation, even when you're unsure of the outcome. It's the strength to forgive someone who hurt you, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. These acts, big and small, are what carve your path through life. They're what make you someone fortune can't ignore. This isn't about chasing glory or fame. Those are fleeting shadows. The Stoics' bravery is deeper, rooted in purpose. It's about building a life that feels authentic, where you can look in the mirror and know you didn't shrink from the hard moments. Picture a teacher who stays late to help a struggling student, not for a paycheck, but because they believe one spark of understanding can change a life. That's bravery. Or think of the person who walks away from a toxic relationship, choosing their own worth over familiarity. That's bravery, too. These choices don't make headlines, but they ripple through time, shaping who you are and what you leave behind. They're the silent victories that fortune sees, the ones that say, "I lived, I dared, I became." The beauty of this philosophy is that it's not reserved for emperors or legends. It's for you right now, wherever you stand. You don't need a battlefield to be brave. Your battlefield is the meeting where you speak up, the morning you choose to get out of bed despite feeling broken, the moment you decide to try again after failing. Each step into discomfort is a step toward a life that's yours, not one dictated by fear or habit. The Stoics remind us that bravery isn't a single act. It's a way of being. It's choosing to show up day after day, ready to face whatever life throws at you. And when you live like that, fortune doesn't just favor you, it follows you. As we stand at this crossroads of courage, we begin to see that bravery isn't an isolated virtue. It's woven into the choices we make every day. To fully understand how to live bravely, we need to look at what holds so many back. The seductive trap of comfort, where dreams go to fade and potential quietly slips away. Let's explore that next and uncover how breaking free from its grip is the first step toward a life fortune can't resist. The comfort trap. The journey toward a life that fortune favors begins with a single, sobering realization. Comfort, while tempting, is often a gilded cage. It's the warm blanket we pull over ourselves when the world feels too cold, the familiar routine we cling to when change looms large. On ZenLight 8, we're peeling back the layers of Stoic wisdom to see this trap for what it is: a slow, silent thief of potential. Most people don't choose discomfort. They don't wake up craving the sting of a challenge or the weight of uncertainty. Instead, they drift toward safety, building lives of predictability. The same job, the same commute, the same scrolling feed before bed. There's nothing inherently wrong with this. Comfort isn't evil. But when it becomes your master, it locks you in a cycle where dreams erode, ambitions fade, and the spark of what could have been dims with every passing day. Picture a man named Tom, a mid-level accountant in a Midwest town. Every morning, he wakes to the same alarm, drives the same route to an office where the hum of fluorescent lights drowns out his thoughts. He's good at his job, reliable, steady, but there's a quiet ache in his chest, a voice whispering that he was meant for more. Maybe it's writing that novel he's always talked about, or starting a small business that lights him up. But the paycheck is safe, the routine is known, and the idea of stepping into the unknown feels like leaping off a cliff. So he stays. He chooses the warm shower over the cold one, the Netflix binge over the late-night hustle, the familiar over the frightening. Years slip by, and that ache grows heavier, until one day he looks back and wonders where his courage went. This is the comfort trap. Not a dramatic fall, but a slow sinking, a life half-lived in the name of safety. The Stoics, like Epictetus and Seneca, saw this danger clearly. To them, comfort wasn't just a temptation. It was a betrayal of the soul's potential. They believed that ease dulls your edge, softens your resolve, and leaves you fragile when life's inevitable storms arrive. Think about it. A sword left untouched gathers rust, a muscle unworked atrophies. The same is true for your spirit. When you avoid discomfort, you're not just avoiding pain, you're avoiding growth. You're choosing to remain a smaller version of yourself, one that fits neatly within the walls of familiarity but never reaches the heights you're capable of. The Stoics didn't scorn comfort because they loved suffering. They rejected it because they loved life too much to let it slip away in a haze of complacency. Now, let's flip the script. Imagine a woman named Sarah, who felt that same pull toward safety but chose differently. She was a graphic designer, stuck in a corporate job that paid the bills but left her creatively drained. Every night, she'd sketch ideas for her own studio, but fear held her back. Fear of failure, of judgment, of losing the security she'd built. Then one day, she decided to act. She started small, taking on freelance projects after hours, saving every penny, and learning the ropes of entrepreneurship. It wasn't glamorous. Late nights, rejected pitches, and moments of doubt tested her. But each step into discomfort forged something new in her. Resilience, confidence, a fire that no cubicle could contain. Today, her studio thrives, not because she was lucky, but because she dared to leave the cage of comfort behind. Sarah's story isn't unique. It's a reminder that discomfort is where transformation begins. The Stoics understood this alchemy. They saw pain, hardship, and uncertainty not as enemies, but as raw materials for building character. To them, discomfort was the forge where courage, wisdom, and strength were shaped. Take something as simple as a cold shower. It's not about masochism. It's about teaching your body and mind that you can endure what's unpleasant. Or consider fasting, not to starve yourself, but to remind your soul that happiness doesn't depend on instant gratification. These small acts of rebellion against comfort aren't punishments, they're preparations. They're training for the moments when life demands more of you. When you face a loss, a betrayal, or a dream that requires everything you've got. By choosing discomfort now, you're building a version of yourself that won't crumble when the world does. This isn't about chasing hardship for its own sake. It's about recognizing that growth doesn't happen in the soft glow of ease. It happens in the friction of effort, the sweat of persistence, the quiet resolve to keep going when every fiber of you wants to quit. The Stoics didn't just preach this, they lived it. Seneca endured exile, Epictetus thrived as a former slave, and Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire through chaos. All because they trained themselves to embrace the uncomfortable. They knew that fortune doesn't favor those who hide from life's challenges. It favors those who meet them head-on, who see in every struggle an opportunity to become more. In our modern world, the comfort trap is slicker than ever. It's the algorithm that keeps you scrolling, the delivery app that spares you a trip to the store, the job that's good enough but leaves you hollow. These aren't chains you can see, but they bind you just the same. Breaking free starts with small, deliberate choices. Waking up early when your bed begs you to stay, tackling that hard conversation you've been avoiding, or starting the project you've put off for years. Each choice is a brick laid in the foundation of a braver life, a life where you're not just surviving, but thriving. The Stoics remind us that potential isn't something you wait for. It's something you claim, one uncomfortable step at a time. But choosing discomfort doesn't mean you're reckless. It's not about throwing caution to the wind or chasing chaos for thrills. True bravery, as the Stoics saw it, is something deeper, something calculated. It's courage tempered by wisdom, action guided by reason. To step out of the comfort trap is only the beginning. You must also learn to move forward with clarity and purpose, or risk falling into another kind of trap. The illusion that bravery alone is enough. Courage, not foolishness. If fortune favors the brave, it's not because they leap blindly into the abyss. It's because they step forward with eyes wide open, hearts steady, and minds sharp. The Stoics didn't glorify recklessness. They revered courage, but only when it was anchored in wisdom. On this leg of our ZenLight 8 journey, we're diving into what makes bravery truly powerful. Not the wild charge of a fool, but the deliberate resolve of a Stoic warrior. Courage, in their eyes, wasn't about ignoring fear or rushing headlong into danger. It was about mastering fear, weighing risks, and acting with precision, even when the outcome was uncertain. It's the difference between a ship that sails into a storm without a map and one that charts its course, ready for whatever waves may come. Consider a firefighter named Mike, who's been with his crew for a decade. When the alarm sounds and flames light up the night, He doesn't run into a burning building because he's fearless. His pulse races like anyone's. He moves because he's trained, because he's studied the layout, because he trusts his team and his instincts. That's courage, not foolishness. It's not about denying the danger. It's about preparing for it, calculating the risks, and choosing to act because something greater is at stake. Lives, duty, purpose. The Stoics would nod in approval, for they saw bravery as a marriage of heart and mind, where impulse bows to strategy and passion answers to reason. This distinction matters more than ever in a world that often mistakes noise for strength. Foolishness is loud. It's the brash entrepreneur who bets everything on a whim, the hot-headed friend who picks a fight over a slight, the dreamer who quits their job without a plan, chasing a fantasy of instant success. Courage, by contrast, is quiet but relentless. It's the entrepreneur who spends years refining their craft before launching, the friend who speaks calmly to de-escalate, the dreamer who builds their vision brick by brick while keeping the lights on. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, lived this balance. Amid the chaos of an empire, plagues sweeping through Rome, enemies at the gates, traitors in the shadows, he didn't lash out or retreat. He reflected, planned, and acted with a clarity that turned turmoil into triumph. His courage wasn't a performance. It was a practice, honed in the stillness of dawn when he wrote to himself, steeling his soul for the day ahead. Let's make this real for you. Think of a time you faced a choice that scared you. Maybe asking for a raise, ending a relationship, or sharing a truth that burned in your chest. Foolishness would have been acting on impulse. Storming into your boss's office with demands, cutting ties in a blaze of anger, or speaking without care for the fallout. Courage, though, is different. It's preparing your case for that raise, practicing your words until they're steady, and asking with confidence, knowing you're worth it. It's leaving a relationship with dignity, not drama, because you value your peace. It's speaking truth with kindness, not cruelty, because you seek understanding, not victory. Courage doesn't ignore fear. It dances with it, using reason as its guide and purpose as its fuel. The Stoics taught that fear isn't the enemy. It's a teacher. It's the signal that something matters, that you're on the edge of growth. To be brave is to hear that signal and move anyway, not because you're certain of success, but because you're certain of who you want to be. Take someone like Malala Yousafzai, who faced death threats as a teenager yet spoke out for girls' education. Her courage wasn't reckless. She knew the risks, weighed them, and chose to act because her cause was bigger than her fear. Or think of the everyday moments. The parent who admits they're struggling to a therapist, not knowing if they'll be judged. The artist who submits their work to a gallery, unsure if it's good enough. These aren't grand gestures, but they're profound acts of courage, rooted in the Stoic truth that bravery is about mastery over self, not mastery over the world. This mastery comes through preparation. The Stoics didn't believe in winging it, they believed in training the mind like a muscle. Marcus Aurelius rose early to journal, not to escape reality, but to shape it. He asked himself hard questions. Am I ready for betrayal? Can I stay calm when insulted? Will I act with justice, even when it's hard? This wasn't navel-gazing, it was battle prep for the soul. In our lives, preparation might look like rehearsing a tough conversation, researching before a big decision, or simply pausing to breathe when anger threatens to take over. It's the discipline to think before you act, to plan before you leap, to align your actions with your values. Foolishness bets on luck. Courage builds on effort. What makes this so powerful is its universality. You don't need to be an emperor or a hero to live this way. Courage is in the choice to apologize when pride tempts you to double down. It's in the decision to try again after a failure, knowing the sting might come twice. It's in the quiet resolve to keep showing up, day after day, even when the world feels heavy. The Stoics knew that life is a storm, unpredictable, unrelenting, but they also knew you could be the calm within it. By choosing courage over foolishness, you're not just surviving the storm, you're steering through it, shaping a life that's not just endured, but earned. Yet courage, even when wise, isn't enough on its own. It's a spark that needs fuel, a flame that needs tending. To live bravely isn't just about acting in the moment. It's about living with an awareness that sharpens every choice, an awareness that reminds you time is finite and every day is a chance to become more. Let's turn next to that awareness, to the Stoic practice of remembering death, and how it transforms courage into a life fully lived. Memento Mori, the call to live fully. In the quiet of a new day, when the first light breaks through the darkness, there's a truth that the Stoics carried like a lantern: Memento Mori. Remember that you will die. It's not a grim warning meant to cast a shadow over your life, but a piercing call to awaken, to live with urgency, to make every moment count. On this leg of our Zenlight 8 journey, we're diving into the heart of this Stoic practice, exploring how the awareness of death doesn't paralyze us. It sets us free. It's a reminder that time is not infinite, that each sunrise is a gift, not a guarantee, and that the only way to honor life is to embrace it fully, fiercely, without delay. The Stoics didn't dwell on death to fear it. They studied it to fuel their courage, to sharpen their focus, and to live in a way that fortune could never ignore. Picture yourself standing at the edge of a vast desert, the horizon stretching endlessly before you. Now imagine someone tells you the journey ahead is shorter than it seems, that the sands of time are slipping through your fingers faster than you realize. Would you linger, tracing circles in the dust? Or would you walk forward with purpose, savoring every step? That's what Memento Mori asks of us. It's not about morbidity, it's about clarity. Death isn't a distant specter waiting at the end of a long road. It's a companion that walks beside you, a quiet reminder that every choice matters, that every day is a canvas for courage, love, and meaning. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, lived with this awareness woven into their souls. As he faced the chaos of an empire, plagues, wars, betrayals, he didn't waste his days on trivialities. He rose early, reflected deeply, and acted justly, knowing that each moment was borrowed, each breath a chance to be the man he aspired to be. This truth hits hard in a world that tempts us to procrastinate, to assume we'll always have another tomorrow. We delay the hard conversations, the bold moves, the dreams that burn in our hearts, thinking there's time to get to it later. But what if later never comes? Consider someone like Steve Jobs, who faced mortality head-on after a cancer diagnosis. In his 2005 Stanford commencement address, he said, "Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life." That awareness didn't crush him. It propelled him to create, to innovate, to leave a mark that echoes still. He didn't wait for permission or perfect conditions. He acted, knowing that time was his most precious currency. That's the power of Memento Mori. It strips away the illusion of endless time and lights a fire under your purpose. Now, let's bring it closer to home. Think of a woman named Elena, a nurse in a bustling city hospital. Every day, she witnesses life's fragility. Patients who recover, others who don't, families saying final goodbyes. Early in her career, the weight of it overwhelmed her, but over time, it reshaped her. She began to see death not as an enemy, but as a teacher. It taught her to hug her kids a little tighter, to call her parents more often, to take that pottery class she'd always postponed. When a colleague suggested she apply for a leadership role, fear crept in, fear of failure, of being not ready. But the memory of patients who never got another chance pushed her forward. She applied, stumbled through the interview, and got the job. Today, she leads with compassion, not because she's fearless, but because she knows tomorrow isn't promised. Elena's story shows us that Memento Mori isn't about despair. It's about daring to live now, not later. The Stoics leaned into this awareness deliberately. They didn't shy away from death's shadow. They invited it in, letting it sharpen their choices like a whetstone sharpens a blade. Seneca wrote letters urging his readers to live each day as if it were their last, not to be reckless, but to be intentional. Epictetus reminded his students that death was universal, a fact that levels kings and commoners alike. So why waste time on what doesn't matter? This practice gave them freedom, not fear. It cut through the noise of petty worries, gossip, grudges, fleeting pleasures, and focused them on what's eternal: virtue, purpose, connection. In our lives, Memento Mori can do the same. It's the voice that asks, if today were your last, would you be proud of how you spent it? It's the nudge to write that book, to forgive that friend, to chase that dream before the hourglass runs dry. This isn't about living in a frenzy, chasing every whim as if time's running out. It's about living with precision, choosing what aligns with your deepest values. Imagine you're planning a cross-country road trip, knowing your gas tank is limited. Would you meander down every side street, or would you chart a course toward the places that matter most? Life is that trip, and Memento Mori is the map, guiding you to spend your fuel on what lights you up. Relationships that lift you, work that fulfills you, moments that make you feel alive. That's why the Stoics didn't waste energy on resentment or regret. They knew that every second spent on what's trivial is a second stolen from what's true. In practice, this awareness transforms the mundane into the profound. It's picking up the phone to say, "I'm sorry," instead of letting pride fester. It's starting the workout plan you've delayed, knowing your body deserves care today, not someday. It's the courage to launch that podcast, even if the first episode flops, because trying is better than wondering. These choices aren't flashy, but they're vital. They're the threads that weave a life of meaning, a life that fortune sees and smiles upon. The Stoics remind us that death isn't to be feared, it's to be respected, a guide that points us toward what's real. By living with Memento Mori, you're not just counting days, you're making them count, building a legacy not of wealth or fame, but of a heart that dared to show up fully. Yet this awareness of mortality isn't enough on its own. It's a spark that needs to be fanned into flame through action, through habits that turn intention into reality. The Stoics didn't just contemplate life's brevity. They lived it, day by day, choice by choice, forging courage in the crucible of routine. Let's turn now to those daily practices, the small, deliberate acts that shape a brave life and invite fortune to follow. The daily practices of the brave. Courage isn't a lightning bolt that strikes in moments of crisis. It's a fire built slowly, tended daily, through choices no one sees. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. On ZenLight 8, we're unpacking their wisdom to reveal how bravery isn't just a philosophy. It's a way of life, woven into the fabric of every sunrise, every task, every breath. The brave Stoic doesn't wait for grand battles to prove their mettle. They find their arena in the ordinary, transforming mundane moments into opportunities to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. From the moment they rise to the moment they rest, their day is a deliberate act of rebellion against complacency, a testament to the truth that fortune favors those who prepare relentlessly. Imagine a man named James, a high school teacher in a small town. His life isn't glamorous. Grading papers, managing rowdy classrooms, juggling family responsibilities. But James is a Stoic at heart, not because he quotes Marcus Aurelius, but because he lives with intention. He wakes at 5 a.m., not because he loves early mornings, but because those quiet hours are his sanctuary. He journals, reflecting on yesterday's mistakes and today's goals, sharpening his mind before the world wakes. He takes a cold shower, not for Instagram clout, but to remind himself he can endure discomfort. He runs 3 miles not to chase a perfect body, but to discipline his will. When a student challenges him in class, he pauses, breathes, and responds with patience, not pride. When a parent meeting gets tense, he listens deeply, speaking truth without malice. These aren't heroic acts. They're daily rituals, small bricks in the fortress of a brave life. James isn't perfect, but he's persistent, and that's what makes him unshakable. The Stoics built their courage this way, through practices that seem simple but demand everything. Waking early was a cornerstone, not to outwork others, but to claim time for themselves, to think clearly before life's noise took over. Marcus Aurelius began his days writing in his meditations, not for fame, but to wrestle with his doubts and align his actions with virtue. Seneca read voraciously, feeding his mind with wisdom to navigate a treacherous world. Epictetus sat in silence, observing his thoughts to master his reactions. These weren't habits for show. They were workouts for the soul, each one a step toward becoming someone life couldn't break. In our world, these practices translate into choices we can all make. setting the alarm early, choosing a book over a screen, or facing a mirror to ask, am I living true to myself? Let's break it down. Start with the cold shower, a Stoic favorite, not because they love discomfort, but because it's a daily reminder that you're stronger than your impulses. It's a shock to the system that says, you can handle this and more. Then there's exercise, running, lifting, yoga, anything that pushes your body to move. It's not about vanity. It's about resilience, about knowing your strength isn't just in your mind but in the vessel that carries it. Reading is another pillar, novels, philosophy, history, because ideas shape who you are. A page a day can shift your perspective, arming you with insights for life's battles. Journaling, too, is sacred. It's where you meet yourself, where you untangle your fears, celebrate your wins, and plan your growth. These acts aren't flashy, but they're foundational, turning abstract ideals into concrete progress. Then there's the harder stuff, the conversations you'd rather avoid. Picture a woman named Aisha, who's been dodging a talk with her best friend about a growing rift. It's easier to stay silent, to keep the peace, but Aisha chooses courage. She prepares her words, sits her friend down, and speaks. Voice shaking, heart pounding, because truth matters more than comfort. It's messy, emotional, but they come out stronger. That's Stoic bravery. Not avoiding the hard things, but facing them with honesty and care. Or think of David, a software engineer who's terrified of public speaking. When his boss asks him to present at a conference, he wants to say no. Instead, he says yes, practices for weeks, and steps onto the stage, nerves and all. He stumbles, but he finishes, and the applause isn't the real win. It's the knowledge that he didn't let fear decide his path. These daily practices aren't just tasks. They're rituals of transformation. The Stoics saw every moment as a chance to sharpen their character, to prepare for life's inevitable tests. A spilled coffee isn't just an annoyance. It's a chance to practice patience. A tight deadline isn't just stress. It's a test of focus. A disagreement isn't just conflict. It's an opportunity to listen, to stay calm, to grow. This mindset turns life into a dojo, where every interaction hones your edge. The brave Stoic doesn't compartmentalize courage. It's in how they wash dishes with care, how they speak kindly under pressure, how they keep going when exhaustion whispers, quit. It's a life where nothing is wasted, where every challenge is a teacher. What's beautiful about this is its accessibility. You don't need wealth, status, or a philosophy degree to live this way. Your gym is your kitchen, your office, your commute. Your equipment is your will, your discipline, your choice to show up. Start small. Swap one scroll session for 10 minutes of reading. Try one cold shower and feel the jolt of aliveness. Write one sentence in a journal about what you're grateful for. These aren't grand gestures, but they're powerful, compounding over time into a life that's not just lived, but crafted. The Stoics knew that fortune doesn't chase the idle. It seeks those who've built themselves, day by day, into someone worthy of its gifts. As we weave these practices into our lives, we begin to see that bravery isn't just about action. It's about presence, about carrying strength quietly, without need for applause. This silent strength, this unshakable calm, is what sets the Stoic apart, what makes them a beacon in a world of noise. Let's explore that next, and discover how true power lies not in shouting, but in being. Silent strength, the power of quiet resolve. In a world that shouts for attention, where validation flickers on screens and applause measures worth, the Stoics offer a radical truth. True strength is silent. It doesn't demand a spotlight or crave a crowd. It radiates quietly, like a steady flame in the dark. Here on ZenLight 8, we're diving into the Stoic art of silent strength, the kind of power that doesn't need to proclaim itself because it simply is. The brave Stoic doesn't boast of their courage or tally their victories for others to see. Their strength lies in their calm, their discipline, their unshakable presence. A presence that shifts the air in a room without a single word. They act not for fleeting motivation or external praise, but from a deep well of principle and persistence, building a life that fortune can't help but favor. Picture a woman named Clara, a librarian in a bustling urban library. She's not the loudest voice in the room, nor does she seek to be. Yet when she speaks, Whether guiding a shy teenager to the right book or resolving a tense dispute among coworkers, people listen. It's not because she shouts or commands. It's because her words carry the weight of someone who's wrestled with herself and won. Clara rises early to meditate, not to post about it online, but to center herself for the day. She stays late to organize community reading programs, not for a plaque, but because she believes stories can change lives. When a budget cut threatens her department, she doesn't panic or complain. She quietly rallies her team, researches solutions, and presents a plan with steady confidence. Clara's strength isn't loud, but it's undeniable, a force that shapes her world without needing to be noticed. The Stoics lived this way, embodying a power that didn't rely on fanfare. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, could have basked in adoration, yet he chose solitude to write his meditations, seeking clarity over acclaim. Seneca faced exile and betrayal, yet his letters brim with calm resolve, not bitterness. Epictetus, once a slave, taught philosophy with a quiet authority that drew students from across the empire, not because he sought fame, but because his life was proof of his words. Their strength wasn't in what they said about themselves, but in how they showed up. Steady in chaos, kind under pressure, disciplined when temptation whispered. They understood that true power doesn't need a megaphone. It emanates from integrity, from doing the right thing when no one's watching, from living in alignment with principles that outlast applause. This silent strength is built through countless unseen choices. It's the decision to bite your tongue when anger flares, not to win an argument, but to preserve your peace. It's the resolve to keep working on a project when motivation fades, trusting that consistency will carry you through. It's the courage to walk away from gossip, not to seem superior, but to protect your focus. These moments don't make headlines, but they forge character. They're the quiet victories that stack up, day by day, into a life of substance. Think of someone like Fred Rogers, the gentle host of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. He didn't raise his voice or chase fame, yet his calm presence touched millions. His strength was in his sincerity, his discipline to show up as himself, day after day, believing kindness could ripple outward. That's the Stoic way, not shouting to be seen, but being so grounded that others can't help but feel it. What makes this strength so powerful is its independence. The Stoic doesn't lean on external validation, likes, retweets, or promotions, to feel worthy. They validate themselves through their actions, measuring success by their own standards. Did I act with integrity? Did I stay true to my values? Did I give my best, even when it was hard? This inner compass frees them from the whims of others' opinions. Praise is nice, but it's not their fuel. Criticism stings, but it doesn't derail them. They know that external noise fades, but internal mastery endures. In a culture obsessed with going viral, this is revolutionary. It's choosing to build a life that's yours, not one shaped by the crowd's fleeting cheers. Let's make it practical. Imagine you're at a family gathering, and a relative makes a cutting remark about your career. The old you might snap back, eager to defend your worth. The Stoic you pauses, breathes, and responds with calm, or chooses silence, knowing their barb doesn't define you. That's silent strength. Or picture a long day at work, when exhaustion tempts you to skip your evening workout. You go anyway, not for a gym selfie, but because you promised yourself you'd show up. That's silent strength, too. It's the parent who listens patiently to their teenager's rant, not to fix them, but to understand. It's the artist who keeps creating, even when the gallery says no, because their work is their truth. These acts don't demand attention, but they build a foundation that life's storms can't shake. This strength isn't passive. It's active, deliberate, rooted in discipline. The Stoic moves with purpose, not mood. They don't wait to feel strong. They act, knowing strength follows effort. They rise when they'd rather sleep, work when they'd rather scroll, forgive when they'd rather grudge. Not because it's easy, but because it's right. Their life is a quiet rebellion against a world that rewards noise over substance, flash over depth. And in that rebellion, they become a beacon not by preaching but by being. People notice, not because the Stoic demands it, but because their calm is magnetic, their resolve inspiring. They lead without leading, teach without lecturing, and command respect without asking for it. Silent strength is what makes the Stoic unshakable, but it's not the end of their journey. Life will always test that strength, throwing obstacles in the path. Losses, failures, moments that threaten to break you. The Stoics didn't see these as curses. They saw them as invitations to grow, as the very road to greatness. Let's explore that next, and discover how the challenges we face are the crucible where courage is forged. The obstacle is the path. Life is not a smooth highway. It's a rugged trail, strewn with boulders, sharp turns, and moments that demand everything you've got. Yet the Stoics, those wise navigators of the human soul, taught us a truth that changes everything. The obstacle is the path. On ZenLight 8, we're diving into this Stoic principle, inspired by Marcus Aurelius's words, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." It's not poetic fluff. It's a call to see every difficulty, every setback, every heartbreak as a doorway to growth, not a dead end. The brave Stoic doesn't curse the barriers in their way. They thank them, knowing that each challenge is a chance to sharpen their will, deepen their wisdom, and become someone fortune can't overlook. Imagine a man named Ryan, a small-town chef with dreams of opening his own restaurant. He saves for years, pours his heart into a menu, and finally signs a lease. Then, disaster. A fire guts the building weeks before opening. His savings are drained, his plans in ashes. Most would give up, blaming fate, but Ryan sees the fire differently, not as a stop sign, but as a signal to rebuild. He takes odd jobs, learns from the setback, and opens a food truck instead, serving dishes that win hearts and headlines. Years later, his restaurant thrives, not despite the fire, but because of it. The obstacle didn't block his path. It carved it, forcing him to grow tougher, smarter, more resilient. That's the Stoic way, seeing in every hardship a chance to become more. The Stoics lived this truth through trials that would break most. Marcus Aurelius faced a plague that killed millions, yet he ruled with clarity, turning crisis into a chance to serve. Seneca endured exile and the whims of a mad emperor, yet his writings glow with insight, forged in adversity. Epictetus, born a slave, transformed his chains into freedom by mastering his mind. They didn't wish for easier lives. They used the lives they had, treating every blow as a teacher. Their philosophy wasn't about avoiding pain. It was about embracing it as the raw material of growth. As Marcus wrote, obstacles don't obstruct action. They advance it, revealing strengths you didn't know you had, pushing you to become who you're meant to be. Let's ground this in today's world. Think of Oprah Winfrey, who rose from a childhood of poverty and abuse to become a global icon. Every door slammed in her face. Every rejection, every doubter was a stepping stone. She didn't succeed because life was kind. She succeeded because she saw obstacles as opportunities, each one a chance to hone her voice, her vision, her grit, or consider the smaller, everyday moments. Losing a job might feel like the end, but it could push you to start that side hustle you've always dreamed of. A breakup might shatter your heart, but it might also teach you to love yourself first. A failed exam might sting, but it might drive you to study harder, uncovering a passion you didn't know you had. These aren't punishments, they're invitations, summoning you to rise. The beauty of this mindset is its alchemy. It turns pain into power. The Stoics didn't deny suffering. They reframed it. A setback isn't a verdict. It's a question. What will you do now? A loss isn't a defeat. It's a chance to rebuild stronger. A fear isn't a barrier. It's a signal that something matters. This perspective shifts everything. When you're stuck in traffic, it's not just a delay. It's a chance to practice patience. When a colleague snaps at you, it's not just an insult. It's a test of your calm. When your business idea flops, it's not failure. It's feedback, pointing you toward a better path. The obstacle isn't in your way. It is the way, the crucible where your character is forged, where your courage is tempered, where your destiny is shaped. This doesn't mean you seek out hardship for its own sake. It's not about glorifying struggle, it's about using it. The Stoics were practical, not masochistic. They knew life would bring enough challenges without you chasing them. So they prepared, training their minds to see opportunity where others saw only despair. Take a woman named Mia, who moved to a new city for a dream job, only to be laid off months later. The old Mia would have spiraled, blaming herself or fate. The Stoic Mia paused, reflected, and saw the layoff as a pivot point. She networked, upskilled, and landed a role that fit her better than the first. The obstacle didn't stop her. It redirected her, revealing a path she wouldn't have found otherwise. That's the Stoic secret. Obstacles don't just test you. They transform you, if you let them. In practice, this means meeting challenges with curiosity, not complaint. When a door closes, you don't pound on it, you look for the window. When you fall, you don't stay down, you ask what the ground taught you. When life feels heavy, you don't shrink, you lift, knowing each strain makes you stronger. This mindset doesn't erase pain. It gives it purpose. It's why the Stoics could face betrayal without bitterness, loss without despair, failure without shame. They knew that every obstacle was a brushstroke in the portrait of their life, adding depth, contrast, meaning. By embracing the struggle, they didn't just survive. They thrived, crafting lives that fortune couldn't ignore. Yet, embracing obstacles is only part of the Stoic path. To live bravely, to transform challenges into growth, you need a foundation. A fortress of values, relationships, and purpose that holds you steady. The Stoics didn't face life's trials alone. They built lives that supported their courage, weaving connections and boundaries that amplified their strength. Let's turn to that next and explore how the Stoic fortress is built and how relationships become the ultimate test of a brave life. Building the Stoic fortress. Courage, wisdom, and the resolve to face life's storms are powerful, but they're not enough on their own. They need a foundation, a sanctuary where they can thrive. The Stoics understood this, and on our ZenLight 8 journey, we're exploring how they built what we call the Stoic fortress. Not a castle of stone, but a life crafted with intention, guarded by discipline and fortified by purpose. This fortress isn't about isolating yourself from the world. It's about creating a space where your energy, focus, and values are protected from the chaos outside. It's a deliberate act of saying no to what drains you, yes to what aligns with your truth, and building an environment that nurtures the brave life you're forging. With every boundary set, every distraction refused, and every moment of reflection, you lay another brick in a structure that lets you face life's battles without crumbling. Imagine a woman named Lauren, a marketing manager in a fast-paced tech startup. Her days are a whirlwind, endless emails, urgent deadlines, colleagues pulling her in every direction. At first, she tries to please everyone, saying yes to every request, staying late, scrolling through work chats even at home. But soon, exhaustion creeps in, her creativity fades, and that spark she once had dims. Then, she discovers Stoicism, not as a dusty philosophy, but as a blueprint for reclaiming her life. She starts small, turning off notifications after 7 p.m., carving out Sunday mornings for journaling, saying no to projects that don't align with her goals. She's not rude, she's clear, setting boundaries with kindness but firmness. Slowly, her energy returns. She picks up painting again, reconnects with friends, and brings sharper ideas to work. Lauren's not hiding from the world. She's building a fortress, a life where she can be her best, not just for herself, but for everyone she touches. The Stoics were masters of this art. Marcus Aurelius didn't just rule an empire. He ruled himself, carving out moments to reflect amid the noise of Rome. Seneca wrote letters to clarify his thoughts, not to impress, but to stay grounded in a treacherous court. Epictetus taught his students to guard their attention like gold, knowing that every careless thought was a crack in their armor. They weren't monks retreating to caves, they were men of action, living in the world but not owned by it. Their fortress was built on discipline, the discipline to rise early, to question their motives, to choose virtue over indulgence. It was fortified by reason, the ability to pause and ask, is this worth my time? Does this serve my purpose? And it was sustained by reflection, the quiet practice of looking inward to ensure their actions match their values. This fortress isn't abstract. It's practical, built brick by brick through choices you can make today. Start with your energy. It's finite, like water in a canteen, and the world is thirsty for it. Gossip, drama, endless notifications all want a sip. The Stoic says no, not out of selfishness, but out of stewardship. Try this. For 1 week, audit your time. Track where your hours go, how much on social media, how much on tasks that don't matter. Then cut one thing that steals your focus, like checking your phone during meals. It's a small boundary, but it's a start. A wall that says, "My attention is mine." Lauren did this, and it changed her life. When she stopped saying yes to every happy hour, she had time to volunteer at a local art center, rediscovering a passion that fueled her soul. Next, build with discipline. The Stoics didn't rely on willpower alone. They created systems. They rose at the same time daily, read with purpose, wrote to clarify their minds. You can do the same. Set a morning routine, 10 minutes of stretching, a page of reading, a moment to list 3 things you're grateful for. Stick to it, not because it's trendy, but because it's a promise to yourself. Discipline isn't sexy. It's steady, and that's what makes it powerful. Think of someone like Kobe Bryant, whose relentless work ethic turned talent into legend. He didn't train when he felt like it. He trained every day, building a fortress of habits that carried him to greatness. Your fortress doesn't need to be a gym. It can be your desk, your kitchen, anywhere you show up consistently. Reflection is the mortar that holds it all together. The Stoics didn't just act. They examined their actions, asking, "Did I live well today? Where did I fall short?" Try journaling at night, not to vent, but to learn. Write one thing you did well, one thing you could improve, one goal for tomorrow. It's like checking the walls of your fortress, ensuring no cracks have formed. This practice grounds you, keeping your life aligned with what matters. For Lauren, journaling revealed how much she'd been chasing approval. Once she saw it, she could let it go, focusing on work and relationships that truly mattered. Reflection isn't self-obsession. It's self-ownership, a way to ensure your fortress stands tall. The beauty of this fortress is its flexibility. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. You'll slip, say yes when you should have said no, let distractions creep in. That's okay. The Stoic doesn't beat themselves up. They rebuild, stronger each time. Your fortress is unique, shaped by your values. Maybe it's a quiet hour with a book, a walk in nature, or time with people who lift you up. Whatever it is, guard it fiercely, because this is where your courage grows, where your strength takes root. Fortune doesn't favor the scattered, it favors the focused, those who've built a life that supports their bravery, not sabotages it. Yet no fortress stands alone. Life isn't lived in solitude. It's lived with others, in the messy, beautiful arena of relationships. The Stoics knew that true courage isn't just about mastering yourself. It's about how you show up for those around you, how you navigate the battlefield of human connection. Let's turn to that next and see how relationships test and refine the Stoic heart. The battlefield of relationships. If life is a journey, relationships are its proving ground, the place where courage, patience, and humility are tested most fiercely. The Stoics saw this clearly, and here on ZenLight 8, we're diving into their wisdom to explore why relationships aren't just a part of life. They're the crucible where character is forged. The brave Stoic doesn't seek to control others or bend them to their will. They master their own responses, turning every interaction into an opportunity to practice virtue. From the smallest exchange to the deepest bond, they approach relationships with honesty, love that doesn't possess, and boundaries that don't breed resentment. In this arena, every misunderstanding, every conflict, every moment of connection is a chance to grow stronger, kinder, and more true to who you're becoming. Picture a man named Carlos, a father and small business owner. His days are packed, running a cafe, raising 2 kids, keeping his marriage strong. But it's not the long hours that challenge him most. It's the people. His teenage daughter snaps at him over dinner, frustrated by school and hormones. A customer leaves a scathing review, misjudging a simple mistake. His wife feels distant, buried under her own stress. These moments could unravel him, but Carlos chooses the Stoic path. When his daughter lashes out, he listens, not lecturing but asking questions, giving her space to be heard. When the customer attacks, he responds with calm, offering a refund and an apology, not because he's weak, but because he values peace over pride. With his wife, he initiates a quiet conversation, not demanding change, but sharing his heart and listening to hers. Carlos isn't perfect. He feels the sting of every clash, but he's deliberate, using each relationship to refine himself. The Stoics knew that relationships are where philosophy meets reality. Marcus Aurelius wrote of dealing with difficult people, reminding himself they're human, flawed like him, and his job was to stay just not bitter. Seneca urged patience, seeing others' faults as mirrors for his own growth. Epictetus taught that you can't control how others act, only how you respond. Their wisdom wasn't abstract. It was lived. Intense counsels, strained friendships, and fleeting encounters. They saw every person as a teacher, every conflict as a lesson, every bond as a chance to practice courage without domination, love without chains, boundaries without walls. Let's make this real. Think of a woman named Priya, a nurse navigating a high-stakes hospital ward. Her colleague, Mark, is sharp-tongued, quick to criticize her work. The old Priya would have snapped back, escalating tension. The Stoic Priya pauses, asks herself why his words sting. Maybe it's her own fear of not being enough. She responds with a question, not a jab, defusing the moment and earning his respect over time. At home, her brother borrows money again, testing her patience. Instead of resentment, she sets a boundary. She'll help once more, but with clear terms, delivered with kindness. When a friend betrays her trust, Priya forgives, not to be a doormat, but to free herself from anger's weight. These choices aren't easy, they're brave, rooted in the Stoic truth that relationships don't define you, but they shape you if you let them. This shaping happens in the details. Honesty without cruelty is a Stoic hallmark. Speaking truth, like telling a friend they're hurting themselves, but with care, not judgment. Love without attachment means giving freely, supporting a partner's dreams, cheering a sibling's success, without expecting them to fill your voids. Boundaries without resentment are about clarity, saying no to a colleague's last-minute demand, not with anger, but with respect for your own limits. These practices turn relationships from battlegrounds into classrooms, where you learn patience from a stubborn parent, humility from a know-it-all coworker, resilience from a friend who drifts away. Every interaction hones your edge, teaching you to stay steady when emotions run high. The Stoics didn't shy away from connection. They embraced it, knowing it's where courage is tested most. Think of someone like Nelson Mandela, who forged bonds across divides, not by dominating, but by listening, forgiving, and standing firm in his values. His relationships with allies, enemies, even captors were his crucible, shaping a legacy of unity. Or consider the everyday, the teacher who stays patient with a disruptive student, not to win, but to understand, the partner who admits fault in an argument, not to lose, but to grow. These moments don't shout, "Hero," they whisper human. And that's where their power lies. What's profound is how relationships reflect you back to yourself. The Stoics saw others as mirrors, revealing your blind spots. Anger you didn't know you carried, insecurities you thought you'd buried. When Carlos's daughter snaps, it's not just her frustration. It's his chance to check his ego, to choose empathy over control. When Priya's friend betrays her, it's not just pain. It's a prompt to examine her trust, to strengthen her core. Every clash, every joy, every silence is a question. Who are you in this moment? The Stoic answers with action, not reaction, using relationships to chisel away their rough edges, to become more patient, more present, more whole. This isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. You'll falter, raise your voice, hold a grudge. That's okay. The Stoic doesn't aim for sainthood. They aim for growth, apologizing when they're wrong, reflecting when they stumble, trying again. Relationships are messy, but they're sacred, a space where courage becomes real, where love becomes free, where boundaries become strength. By navigating them with care, you don't just build better connections, you build a better you, one fortune can't ignore. As we master the battlefield of relationships, we see that bravery isn't just about facing others. It's about acting on what we've learned, turning wisdom into motion. The Stoics didn't stop at understanding life. They lived it boldly, relentlessly, knowing that fortune favors those who dare to do. Let's turn to that next and explore how bravery becomes a practice, a habit, a life. Bravery in action. Courage isn't a thunderclap that shakes the sky in moments of glory. It's a quiet rhythm, a pulse built through countless small choices made when no one's watching. The Stoics knew this truth, and here on ZenLight 8, we're peeling back their wisdom to reveal that bravery isn't a feeling you chase. It's a skill you forge, action by action, day by day. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment to feel fearless. It's about moving forward despite the tremble in your hands, the knot in your stomach, the whisper of doubt. Every time you say no to what dims your light, every time you face a fear head-on, every time you persist when quitting feels easier, you're carving a path toward a life that's unshakable. These small steps, these daily acts of defiance against hesitation, are what make you someone fortune can't ignore. Imagine a young man named Ethan, a recent college grad working an entry-level job at a publishing house. He dreams of writing novels, but fear keeps him stuck. Fear of rejection, of not being good enough, of wasting years on a dream that might fail. At night, he scribbles ideas, but they stay hidden, locked in a notebook. Then one day he decides to act. He starts small, 1 page a day, no matter how rough. He joins a writing group, heart pounding as he shares his work for the first time. The feedback stings, clunky prose, weak characters, but he doesn't quit. He revises, studies, writes again. When he submits his first short story to a magazine, the rejection comes fast. But Ethan keeps going, submitting again, refining his craft. 2 years later, a small journal publishes his work. It's not a bestseller, but it's a victory, a testament to the courage he built, one choice at a time. Ethan's story isn't about sudden heroism. It's about the slow, steady work of bravery in action. The Stoics saw courage this way, not as a single leap, but as a habit, a muscle strengthened through repetition. Marcus Aurelius didn't become Rome's wise emperor overnight. He built his resolve through daily reflections, choosing justice over anger, duty over ease. Seneca didn't just preach resilience. He lived it, facing exile and death threats with a pen in hand, writing truths that still burn bright. Epictetus didn't let his past as a slave define him. He taught freedom through every lecture, every conversation, every choice to rise above circumstance. Their lives were proof that bravery isn't a gift from fate. It's a practice, cultivated in the quiet moments when you decide to act, even when you're unsure, even when it's hard. Let's make this real for you. Think of a time you wanted to speak up. Maybe in a meeting where an idea burned in your chest, but fear of looking foolish held you back. Bravery isn't waiting until you're certain everyone will nod. It's raising your hand, voice steady or not, and sharing what you believe. Or consider the project you've delayed, that business plan, that blog, that workout routine because it feels too big, too risky. Bravery is starting anyway, writing one sentence, sketching one idea, lacing up your shoes for one run. It's not glamorous, but it's powerful, because each action chips away at fear, building a foundation of trust in yourself. The Stoics knew that courage compounds, like interest in a bank. Every small deposit grows, until you're richer in resolve than you ever imagined. These small choices are everywhere, waiting for you to claim them. Say no to a commitment that doesn't serve your purpose, not to be rude, but to protect your energy. Face a fear like asking for feedback on your work, knowing the critique might hurt but will make you better. Persist when it's tough, when your side hustle hasn't sold a thing, when your meditation practice feels pointless, when your relationship hits a rough patch. Each time you choose action over avoidance, you're not just moving forward, you're becoming someone who can't be stopped. Think of someone like Maya Angelou, who faced trauma, racism, and doubt, yet wrote, spoke, and lived with courage, not because she felt invincible, but because she acted again and again until her voice shook the world. This practice of bravery isn't about erasing fear. It's about dancing with it. The Stoics didn't pretend to be fearless. They felt the same doubts we do. What set them apart was their choice to move anyway, to let fear be a passenger, not the driver. Picture a woman named Rachel, a single mom who wants to go back to school for a nursing degree. The obstacles are daunting: time, money, the risk of failing her kids. But she enrolls, studies late after tucking them in, and pushes through sleepless nights and tough exams. When she graduates, cap and gown glowing Kelvin Gwyn on her shoulder, it's not just a diploma. It's the courage she built, one class, one test, one choice at a time. Rachel didn't wait to feel ready. She acted, and that made her unstoppable. What's beautiful about this is its accessibility. You don't need a stage or a spotlight to be brave. Your arena is your daily life. The conversation you initiate, the boundary you set, the goal you chase despite the odds. Each choice is a brick in the monument of your character, a step toward a life that's not just lived, but earned. The Stoics remind us that bravery isn't something you have. It's something you do relentlessly until it becomes who you are. And when you live this way, you don't just invite fortune, you demand its attention, because a life built on action is a life fortune can't ignore. As we weave these daily acts of bravery into our lives, we set the stage for something greater, a culmination of everything we've explored, a truth that ties it all together. The Stoics didn't just practice courage for its own sake. They did it to prove something profound, that fortune doesn't chase the timid, it bows to the brave. Let's bring this journey full circle and see how it all connects, how every step we've taken leads to a life that shines. Fortune favors the brave, the culmination. Here we stand, at the summit of our ZenLight 8 journey, with the Stoic wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus lighting the way. We've walked through discomfort, forged courage with wisdom, lived with the urgency of Memento Mori, built habits of bravery, carried silent strength, embraced obstacles, crafted a fortress, and navigated the battlefield of relationships. Now we arrive at the heart of it all. Fortune favors the brave. It's not a catchy phrase. It's a law of life, a truth etched in the fabric of existence. Fortune doesn't shower gifts on the lucky or the passive. It seeks those who've prepared, who've disciplined their hearts, who've dared to act when fear begged them to wait. The Stoic doesn't sit idly, hoping for a break. They create their own opportunities, rise after every fall, and live with an intention so clear it bends the universe to their will. This is the life of the brave, a life that proves, beyond doubt, that fortune follows those who move, who endure, who dare. Picture a man named Jamal, a teacher turned entrepreneur. He grew up in a tough neighborhood, where dreams were often drowned by circumstance. But Jamal had a vision, a community center for kids, a place to learn, grow, and escape the streets. The path was brutal. Funding fell through, skeptics scoffed, permits stalled. Yet Jamal didn't wait for luck. He knocked on doors, pitched to investors, worked nights to save every dime. When his first center opened, it wasn't perfect, but it was real, a beacon of hope born from his courage. Today, his network spans cities, not because fortune smiled, but because he acted relentlessly, proving that opportunity doesn't find you. It's forged by you. Jamal's story isn't rare. It's the Stoic truth in action. Fortune bows to those who build, who persist, who live unafraid of failure. The Stoics lived this truth through every trial. Marcus Aurelius didn't rule Rome by chance. He shaped an empire with daily choices, balancing power with humility, chaos with calm. Seneca didn't survive Nero's court by hoping for mercy. He wrote, reflected, and acted with integrity, leaving a legacy that outlasted his enemies. Epictetus didn't rise from slavery by waiting for freedom. He claimed it with his mind, teaching others to do the same. Their lives weren't random. They were deliberate, proof that fortune doesn't play favorites. It rewards preparation, discipline, and the courage to act, no matter the odds. They didn't just face difficulties. They used them, turning setbacks into stepping stones, doubts into drive, fears into fuel. This isn't about fairy tale endings. Fortune doesn't guarantee success every time. Sometimes you'll act bravely and still fall. But the Stoics knew that falling isn't failure, staying down is. Every rejection, every loss, every moment you feel broken is a chance to rise stronger, wiser, closer to who you're meant to be. Think of someone like J.K. Rowling, who faced poverty, depression, and countless rejections before Harry Potter changed the world. Her fortune wasn't luck. It was the courage to keep writing, to keep submitting, to keep believing when the world said no. Or consider the quieter heroes. The single parent who works 2 jobs but never misses their kid's soccer game. The artist who paints through years of obscurity. The friend who forgives a betrayal to rebuild trust. These aren't stories of chance. They're stories of choice, of lives that demanded fortune's respect through relentless action. What makes this so powerful is its universality. You don't need wealth, fame, or a perfect start to live this way. Your life is your canvas, and every day is a brushstroke. Say yes to the hard thing. Apply for that job, start that conversation, chase that dream. Say no to what holds you back. Toxic habits, draining people, your own excuses. Stand up after every stumble, knowing that scars are proof you fought. The Stoics remind us that fortune isn't a goddess tossing coins. It's a force that aligns with those who align themselves, who sharpen their minds, steady their hearts, and move with purpose. It's why they didn't wait for opportunities. They created them, building lives so vibrant, so intentional, that the universe had no choice but to take notice. In our world, this feels radical. We're sold the lie that luck is random, that success is for the chosen few. But the Stoics cut through that noise. Fortune favors the brave because the brave make it so. They don't hope for better days, they build them brick by brick, choice by choice. Every cold shower, every early morning, every honest word, every obstacle embraced is a step toward a life that's yours, not one dictated by fear or fate. This is what Jamal did, what Rowling did, what countless others do every day when they choose action over hesitation, growth over comfort, truth over ease. This is what you can do right now wherever you stand. So, let this be your call. Don't wait for permission. No one will hand you courage. Don't wait for clarity. The path clears as you walk it. Don't wait for fortune. It's already watching, waiting for you to prove you're worthy. Rise early, speak boldly, love fiercely, fail proudly, and try again. Build your fortress, navigate your relationships, embrace your obstacles, and act every day with the fire of someone who knows life isn't meant to be tiptoed through. It's meant to be lived fully, fiercely, with eyes wide open and heart ablaze. When you look back, let your life be a testament, not to luck, but to bravery, a story of someone who dared, who endured, who became. Because in the end, fortune doesn't favor the timid, the hesitant, or the wishful. It favors the brave, and the brave are those who act, who rise, who live without regret. So go, be brave, and let fortune follow. As we stand at the end of this Zenlight 8 journey, the wisdom of the Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, glows like a beacon, illuminating a truth as old as time. Fortune favors the brave. We've walked a path together, from the call to step into discomfort to the quiet strength of silent resolve, from the urgency of Memento Mori to the daily rituals that forge an unshakable life. We've built fortresses of discipline, navigated the battlefield of relationships, and embraced obstacles as the very road to growth. Through it all, one truth shines clear. Bravery isn't a fleeting moment of heroism. It's a way of being, a choice made again and again, in the smallest acts and the boldest leaps, to live fully, fiercely, without regret. The Stoics didn't just teach us how to survive. They showed us how to thrive, how to craft a life that fortune can't help but follow. This journey began with a simple idea. Courage is the key to unlocking your potential. It's not about wielding swords or conquering empires. It's about showing up when fear whispers to hide, speaking truth when silence feels safer, persisting when the world says quit. We learned that comfort, while tempting, is a cage that traps your dreams, and that true growth lies in the friction of effort, the sting of challenge. We saw that bravery isn't reckless. It's wise, tempered by reason, guided by purpose. We embraced Memento Mori, letting the awareness of life's brevity fuel our urgency to act now, not later. We built habits, cold showers, early mornings, honest conversations that turn intention into reality and carried a silent strength that speaks louder than any shout. We transformed obstacles into opportunities, built fortresses of focus, and learned that relationships, with all their messiness, are where courage becomes real. And finally, we proved that fortune isn't luck. It's the reward for those who dare, who prepare, who rise after every fall. But what does this mean for you right now in the rush of modern life? The Stoics' wisdom isn't locked in ancient texts. It's alive, practical, and yours to claim. In a world of endless notifications, comparison, and noise, their lessons are a lifeline. Start small. Say no to one distraction today, a mindless scroll, a draining commitment, and reclaim that time for something that matters, like a walk, a book, or a moment to breathe. Face one fear this week, a tough talk, a new goal, a step toward a dream, and feel the strength that comes from action. Reflect each night, not to dwell, but to grow. Ask, did I live true to myself today? Build boundaries, not to shut others out, but to protect your peace, so you can give your best to those you love. And above all, keep moving through doubt, through failure, through the chaos of life, knowing that every step forward is a victory, a brick in the monument of a life well lived. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. You'll stumble, doubt yourself, fall back into old habits. That's okay. The Stoics didn't demand flawlessness. They demanded effort, the courage to try again, to rise each morning and choose bravery over ease. Your life is your arena, and every day is a chance to fight for what matters. Your growth, your truth, your legacy. Whether you're a student chasing a degree, a parent juggling responsibilities, or a dreamer building something new, the Stoic path is yours. It's not about where you start. It's about where you're going and the courage you bring to the journey. So, here's our call to action. Don't let this be just another video you watch and forget. Take one lesson from this journey and act on it today. Maybe it's writing that first sentence, apologizing to a friend, or simply pausing to breathe when stress hits. Whatever it is, do it with intention, with the fire of someone who knows life is now, not someday. And let's keep this conversation going. Head to ZenLight 8 on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and join our community of brave souls seeking wisdom and growth. In the comments, share one word that captures what this journey means to you. Courage. It's the spark that started this path, the thread that ties it all together, the truth that will carry you forward. As you step back into your life, carry this with you. Fortune doesn't wait for the timid. It seeks the bold, the ones who act, who endure, who live with eyes wide open and hearts ablaze. You are that person, capable of more than you know, ready to forge a life that shines. So go, be brave, and let the world see what courage can do. We'll see you in the next ZenLight 8 journey. Until then, live boldly, live true, and let fortune follow.